gratitude. Okay, so essentially, giving thanks is a way of expressing gratitude. So before I start speaking on that, I'll do the Mangalacharan and then we can have a short discussion. Om Agyanti Nirandasya Dhyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagunaragunatam Vitam Prastajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Saguna Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gauranga Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishvanusude Devi Pranamami Haripriya Kanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktaravinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachanam Pangam Langyate Girim Yat Kapakamam Vande Shri Gurudena Taranam Paramanandam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Shagutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunavadi So gratitude actually is a fairly it's becoming a fairly mainstream concept even in corporate culture. They're encouraging people to develop this attitude of gratitude. I think empirically they have seen that organizations in which employees, management, they have this this paradigm of expressing gratitude, experiencing gratitude. They tend to do better. So maybe I can start off with a question to you. What do you think is the meaning of gratitude?
Being thankful.
Say that again?
Being thankful.
Being thankful, very good. Angelica?
Yeah, that's
thankful?
Yeah.
Okay. What else?
Appreciate.
Appreciate?
Appreciation.
Okay. Okay. What else?
Being fortunate.
Being fortunate. Okay, interesting. Very good. Okay. So the Sanskrit word for gratitude is krita. So krita is the root word for kritagya. And literally krita means to be aware of, to know. The foundation of gratitude is literally being aware of what you are grateful for. And one way of understanding gratitude is, let's see, what do you think would be an antonym for gratitude? Other than the obvious ones like ungrateful and ingratitude, what is a more descriptive antonym for gratitude?
Ignore. Ignore, disregard.
Ignore, disregard.
Ungrateful.
Envy.
Ungrateful.
Envy. Envy.
Envy. selfish. Yeah, all could.
If you try to have the opposite of the Sanskrit stem, it was no or aware. So I guess for that it could be ignorant.
To be ignorant. Very good. Okay. Also entitled. Right, because when a person is entitled, then they accept whatever that they get as their due, and they expect more. Right, that's the quality of lack of gratitude there. So, if one of you can tell in Bhagavad Gita, when does Krishna actually start speaking the Gita? What was the trigger point at which Krishna starts actually speaking the Gita? Have you all read the Gita? Yes? No? Yes. See, I see one head nodding positively. The others are. I remember when I first came from India, I had this habit of doing like this. And my first assignment, he said, "Can you do this job?" I said. And so he assumed that I was saying no to everything he said. That he said, "You have to do some work, man." I said, "I keep saying I will do it." So go ahead. What's your name?
Saket.
Saket. Okay. When does Krishna start speaking? What was the trigger point?
You mean like in the broader Mahabharata or like?
Just in the Bhagavad Gita, within the scope of Bhagavad Gita.
Like it starts because Arjuna asks like, I don't want to fight because of all these reasons, and then he says like you're a fool and you should. Is that the start?
Right.
Arjuna's distress.
Arjuna in distress. Very good. Kishori?
When he says Shishyas Teham.
Right. So for the first 50 verses or so, Krishna is simply hearing. Arjuna is taking the platform of being a Jnani. I cannot fight because of these reasons. How can I kill these people? I have to be compassionate to them, and I will destroy their families, I'll destroy the tradition, etc. And Krishna like listening to it. And then in the 8th verse, in the 2nd chapter, then he says, Karpanya dosha parta svabhava prachami tvam dharma samudacheta yashreyatayam nishitam bhuhikran me shishyasayam shrabhimam tvam prapannam. Right? So 2 things he says, Karpanya dosha parta svabhava. Right? So he says that I am now crippled by this miserly weakness. So because of all the things that he himself was introspecting on, but not able to come to a decision. Right? That I am confused about it. And then Krishna might say, so when Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments on the verse, he says that when Arjuna is saying that verse, then Krishna might say, okay, you're confused. Srila Vyasadeva is sitting over there. Why don't you go and talk to him? And Dronacharya is right across you. So these are all people who had the position of being gurus to Arjuna. Dronacharya is over there. Kripacharya is over there. Bhishma is there, right? Yeah. Then he says, Shadi Mam Tvam Prapannam. That now I am surrendered unto you. Right? So the mood of surrender evokes is on a platform of expressing that I am now dependent on what you will tell me. And we see Arjun, even though Arjun, it's not that when he says I'm surrendered unto you, that he stops the discussion. Right? It's not that after that Krishna says and Arjun raises his hand and Krishna says, you already said you're surrendered to me. You can't question. Right? That's not the mood. Arjuna asks one question 3 times repeatedly in the Bhagavad Gita, right? In the beginning of the 3rd chapter, should I work or should I not work? In the 5th chapter, should I work and not work? And then after Krishna has spoken all the Bhagavad Gita, guess what? In the 18th chapter, same question. What is better, to work or not to work, right? So surrender does not mean, like Prabhupada would say that, surrender does not mean that you surrender your intelligence. Surrender means that you surrender with your intelligence. So in the course of the 18th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, there are 18 questions that are asked. Strictly speaking, 19 questions. The Bhagavad Gita starts with a question, right? When Dhritarashtra asks, Kam Kshetrishu Kurukshetra Samveta Yutsava Mamaka Pandavas Chaiva Kim Kurvata Sanjaya. Right? What did they do? Right? So keeping that aside, there are 18 questions. 17 questions asked by Arjun, and the 18th question asked by Krishna. What's the 18th question that was asked by Krishna?
Have you understood properly?
Have you understood what I have said? Yeah. The perfect mode of a teacher. We see the same thing in the Bhagavatam also. Like when the Bhagavatam begins, then Sutta Goswami is sitting in Naimisharanya, and the sages headed by Swami Krishi, they're asking, they're sitting there ready to ask Bhagavatam, but they don't just ask the question. The first thing that they do is they express so much of gratitude towards Sutta Goswami. That we are so fortunate that we have met you, you are a captain of our ship, and with such honorifics, they glorify. So what does sincere, genuine gratitude do? It opens the heart of another person. So gratitude is a quality that is coming from Krishna. It's a spiritual quality. And the nature of spiritual qualities is that it helps us transcend the material existence. That's the nature of spiritual quality. You see that any spiritual quality, the opposite of spiritual qualities, material qualities, they pull down one. Like envy, lust, anger. Krishna says, with these, you are guaranteed to get another birth. You are guaranteed to stay in this material world. But qualities like gratitude, humility, these are the qualities that actually take one away from one's material existence. So actually, gratitude is considered to be. This is a lecture by actually I was listening to a lecture by Giriraj Swami, and he puts this very poetically that gratitude is the womb of humility. That from gratitude comes humility, and from humility comes our ability to make progress in our spiritual life. So the nature of gratitude is that it can be expressed in all and every circumstances. So gratitude is not just predicated on like I am helping you and then you say I'm very grateful to you. Definitely it does not preclude that situation, but it is not exclusive to that situation. So let's see a few situations in which gratitude still makes sense, and then maybe we can talk about some pastime where this is demonstrated. So gratitude and adversity. So adversity means when things are not going the way that you expected to. When things are actually going opposite to what you would expect things to do. So can anybody think of can think of a pastime in the Bhagavatam or otherwise, where this quality of gratitude in adversity is demonstrated.
Kunti Devi's Prabhu?
Hmm?
Kunti Devi? Yes.
Kunti Devi is a very good example. Yeah.
Parikshit Maharaj
Hmm?
being cursed. Parikshit Maharaj being cursed.
Parikshit Maharaj being first. Yeah. So very good examples. Like when Parikshit Maharaj was cursed, then one would naturally have assumed him to be resentful for a small mistake, right? He was cursed to die in 7 days, but instead he expresses, he has no resentment towards Shringi, the Brahmin boy who curses him, right? In fact, he uses this as an opportunity to end his material life and focus on his spiritual life. Prahlad Maharaj is a classic example of gratitude in adversity. That he was being constantly traumatized by none other than his own father, who also happens to be an extremely powerful person, pretty much ruling the entire 3 worlds. And if you see the whole Prahlad pastime in the 7th canto, there is not one situation in which Prahlad Maharaj has expressed resentment towards his father. Right? There is no verse in which Prahlad Maharaj says, "My dad is such a rascal." Right? Even when he's pushing him, trying to kill him, etc., nothing. And nothing that comes. When Shandanamak, his teachers, are traumatizing him, never any resentment towards them. So, follow-up question is that what do you think is the basis of developing this gratitude in adversity? Why was Prahlad Maharaj not resentful towards the people who were trying to kill him, his own father, his own teachers, Parikshit Maharaj for being cursed for a small mistake, Kunti Devi for no fault of her, pretty much from the time that she was married, she led a very difficult life. Why do you think that they were still able to manifest this quality of gratitude?
Prabhuji, because I feel it gives them an opportunity to remember their sole dependence on the Lord.
Okay.
Because if those unfortunate events are not happening, then
Yeah.
they would not
They
be
will not have.
surrendered.
Okay, very good. Rekha?
I think that is what. Fully surrendered. They were fully surrendered, and I always feel that they did not feel the pain that we think is what they're feeling. Because once you are surrendered in the God,
Yeah.
the pain is the external.
Very good. Thank you. True.
It's similar, Prabhu, like faith in the Lord's protection, faith in the Lord, basically. So they don't resent because they have faith that everything is happening by the arrangement of the Lord, and they're naturally grateful for anything that comes.
Very that comes from. Thank you.
It's also one who comes out of that stage of dualism of anything which is good or bad, or that doesn't come from that higher stage where they think everything happens for a reason and for they think as a neutrality.
Thank you. Yes, that's very nice thoughts. That the gratitude comes because one is able to look at the positives of it. Parikshit Maharaj saw that this was opportunity for him to pursue his spiritual life. Prahlad Maharaj actually at one point he prays to Lord Vishnu that in which form will you come to rescue me? Right? So, which means that he was actually looking upon this as a precursor to his getting darshan of the Lord, and that's why there was this gratitude. in a practical situation, these are elevated personalities, right? So in a practical situation, how would we manifest this quality of gratitude in adversity? Right? We all experience different levels of adversities in our life, inflicted by, like they say, by adhyatmik, adhidevik, adhibhautik, right? The three causes of the kleshas. Sometimes by other people, sometimes by nature, sometimes our own mind, but they conspire to create a whole slew of adversities. If or we can all think of situations in which we have experienced such adversity. How would we process it to develop gratitude? And who would we develop gratitude for?
We start blaming others and we look
Yes,
introspective. If we just stop blaming others, or for anything happening in our life, we think that it's not because of the external forces, it's something internally, because of what, and if that happens, that then that it's very easy then, rather than looking externally, but internally looking at what things happen.
Yes,
So,
thank you.
Is your question that how do we accept that
Not
adversity?
so much accept, but how would we actually manifest? It's kind of grades, right? Yes, generally when people are in adverse situations, then there's a lot of resentment towards the adversity, right? So if you were to try to move the dial, then one is actually letting go of the resentment, right? That's going from negative to zero. And the other is actually developing gratitude, which is going from zero to positive. I mean, it does not mean that the person becomes masochistic, that, you bring it on, man, beat me more, or what. It's not that mood. But without aspiring for adversities, by the confluence of nature, adversities will come. Right? So like Dal Prabhu was saying, that if we start looking, instead of without, we look within, then it will help us give up the resentment. Right? Like one of the statements that is made, that is mostly supposed to be applied to us than others, is that everything, good or bad, that is happening to you is because of you. So, and again, the reason we say we apply it to us than others, it's not a very digestible statement. If somebody is in pain and you say, Prabhu, this is actually because of you. Right? So, not the most conducive way to. Yeah. There was this coach in London, right? And he had started reading the Bhagavad Gita by himself. And one of his players had developed a disease or something. And so he was being interviewed. What do you think about this person having developed a disease? And he said he definitely did some sinful activities. And guess what happened? He got fired. So again, I think in all these things, context is important. So yes, so I think what Dal Prabhu says actually gets us away from the situation of resentment, right? And
Well, I want to add something. That this is what I personally do. Is I just go in front of the deities. I mean, it's not that it doesn't bother me, that it doesn't hurt. It does hurt, and it bothers you. But then it's when we don't have a choice, then we just take shelter. I just pray for strength to bear, for tolerance, patience. Because those are anyways the qualities that Prabhupada wants his devotees to develop, and that shows that I am lacking in those, and that is why I'm having to experience or feel, the pain.
Thank you. Any other thoughts?
We can see with our intelligence that in the past pain has led to purification, and if we take it as Krishna's hand, then we can be grateful for that situation, because okay, it seems very unbearable right now or difficult right now, but whenever it has happened, it has led to good in my life in terms of my consciousness. So this is also another one of those series of blessings that is.
And I think closely related to that also is that every adversity that we experience is burning away our past sinful reactions. So one way of looking at it is that this is one thing less that I know that I have to suffer from later on. Right? So you had a debt, the debt's paid off. I wanted to read a verse. This appears in the prayers of Lord Brahma in 10th canto. Tatenukampam susumeshramano gunjanivatma katam vipakam vidvagva purve vidadan namaste jive tayumukti padisadayava. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. So very, very powerful verse. There are many devotees who will actually write it and keep it in the room to remind themselves, because it encapsulates the essence of gratitude in adversity. Right? Now we are not at the level of Kunti Devi where we say that let us experience more adversity, but even without us asking for it, it will come. And if we look upon this as an opportunity, tatenu kampam susumekshamano, right? That we tolerate it one way or the other, while patiently awaiting the mercy of the Lord. Right? And Brahma is the personification of intelligence. This verse can be unfolded into, and has been unfolded into several days of discussion. But the point that he makes is that it becomes the right of the person. So a person who displays that quality, and the example is that just like a son automatically inherits the property of the father, does not have to do anything else. Just by virtue of being the son, he becomes the heir to the property of the father. Right? All he has to do is to stay a son, in a way stay alive, right? And he becomes the rightful heir. So all that we have to do is to stay alive in our attitude of gratitude to Krishna, while we have situations that are conducive or adversarial. And that makes it our right to be with Krishna. Such a powerful statement that Brahma makes. So that's one kind of gratitude. The second is gratitude for the unknown. So gratitude for the unknown is accepting gratitude for that which we cannot determine the cause. So like I remember once, this was during Rath time, we were distributing books, and so people were generally coming, and there were a lot of people from different kinds come, and very interesting discussions. So one person he had an atheistic background. He said, "How do I know there is God?" And then I said that And then I said that, look, and this is Prabhupada saying actually that there is the sun that rises every morning, it gives you sunshine. There is water, there is land, there is air, there is air to breathe. So isn't that signaling that somebody is taking care of you in such a meticulous way? And then the person said, yeah, but everybody is experiencing that. So whether I'm grateful or ungrateful, what difference does it make? That even if I deny the existence of your God, it's not that the sun will stop shining tomorrow. And I said, which I should not have, I said that it's possible it will stop shining for you tomorrow. So that discussion, that's really not the purpose of having these discussions. Should leave the person at a good place. But he spoke a long time, so I was new also at the time. So I said, it may shine for me, but not for you. Just as an example, there are so many things around us that are happening without us even asking for it, without us even being aware of them. Like this, like the air that we breathe, just the fact that we have our health. And the easiest way to miss something is to take it away. Right? As long as we have it, we take it for granted. When it goes, then that's when you feel. Srila Prabhupada was one sitting and watching his disciples were all like 20-something, Srila Prabhupada was 70-something, and they were all having ecstatic kirtan and dancing. And and then Prabhupada had a very, very contemplative mood. And somebody asked Prabhupada, what are you thinking? And Prabhupada said that I miss my jumping body. So he was looking at them, and within him he wanted to be a part of the kirtan, singing, dancing, but it was not there. So I miss my jumping body. What does the gratitude for unknown? What does that give us? It gives us the ability of training ourselves to not take things for granted. It's like one of those classic things that you are walking on the road and you find some money over there. You don't know who the owner is. Now what do you do with the money? You can say it's not my money, so I'll just walk away from it. Or you can say that I'll take it and try and find the owner. Or you can say finders keepers, losers keepers, and just keep the money. Or you take the money and say, let me try and find somebody who needs it more than I do, or who needs the money, and try to give it. So it's not the situation that is really important. What is important is what is the consciousness with which we approach the situation. So developing this sense of attitude of gratitude for the unknown, it relieves us, because by nature, because of our ego, it is very difficult to acknowledge and accept gratitude. So we tend to accept it for the most prescriptive situations. When somebody comes and overtly is benefiting you, and then you express gratitude. That's the most prescriptive situation. That one should accept gratitude there, right? But as the scope widens, then our gratitude muscle deepens. And then the antidote to that is that we strengthen them. So even if you are not able to ascertain the cause of our benefactor, then simply experiencing gratitude towards the unknown benefactor, is helpful. And what we see, that all these situations that we have discussed about gratitude, the outcome of genuine gratitude is always glorious. Like all the personalities that you see, their outcome has always been glorious. Prahlad Maharaj, Parikshit Maharaj, Kunti Devi, Lord Brahma's prayers to Lord Vishnu, and the converse of it. Think of a situation where there is a lack of gratitude. Think of some situation from the Bhagavatam or from contemporary where there is a lack of gratitude and the outcome for that.
All this Hiranyaksha, they all,
Daksha. Yeah. Indra is a case, right? Yeah. So Indra is sitting in the court, and everybody is glorifying Indra, that you are so great and you are so munificent. Right, and the Gandharvas are singing his glories, the Apsaras are dancing in front of him. And then who walks into the court? Brahaspati, his spiritual master. Right? And then Indra looks at Brahaspati and thinks that not a good time for you to come in. Right, so he looks at him and he looks away. He ignores him. And the duty of a disciple is that when the Guru comes in, is to offer some kind of obeisances, either by words or by body, offer some kind of obeisances, which Indra did not. Okay. So Brahaspati walks away from there. And what's the result of that? Indra loses his kingdom. So what does he do? He goes to spiritual master number 2. Who's the second spiritual master? Vishwarup. Right? He goes to Vishwarup and says that Brahaspati is gone, so you be my spiritual master, son of Tashta. So Vishwarup says, okay. He becomes the spiritual master for Indra, teaches him Narayan Kavach. And what does Indra do? He cuts his head off. So earlier, the lack of gratitude was more subtle. Now it's pretty gross. Cutting the head off is pretty drastic. And what happens to Indra? That he pursued. He basically loses all his opulences. He loses the heavenly planets. He even loses the benedictions of the sages. He's running here and there, and basically completely bewildered. No? So for a personality like Indra, who at least in this context is almost at the same level as the personality of Godhead. Like if you look at the Rig Veda and the Sam Veda, then actually in the Vedas as a whole, there are more verses glorifying Indra than Vishnu. So in the Vedas, he is the main object of worship. And for him, lack of gratitude. Right? Then King Vena, he established by the Brahmins. And then after that, he turns to the Brahmins and said that, good thing you established me now, you can worship me. And what happens? The Brahmins kill him after that. So we see this over and over again, that the quality of gratitude always has a glorious ending. And the lack of gratitude always has a troublesome ending. Okay. So we did gratitude in adversity, gratitude of unknown. The third is gratitude in action. This is a more contemporary expression of gratitude. So anything that we do, like it is said, body, mind, and words. And if you are not able to ascertain who we express our gratitude to, we can express in mind. We can develop a grateful attitude, that for whoever it may be. If you have the fortune of being either in contact with the person, then the gratitude can be expressed with body, by actions. And then gratitude with words is the same kind words. If you look at the structure of the prayers in the Bhagavatam, they always start with a set of verses on gratitude. Whether Brahma is asking for empowerment to create the universe, or Narad Muni is praying, or Vyasadeva is praying, always starts with gratitude. Right? That's the key that opens the heart. And then once the heart is open, then the mercy flows after that. And there's a hierarchy that, if possible, express gratitude in action. Right? Like Prabhupada would sometimes say, what would he would say, inquiries, but no progress. Like people would come and ask so many questions, but they would go and do their own. They would go and do their own thing. So, if you are able to express a gratitude by service, better. If not, at least we can speak. If not, at least we can mentally offer gratitude. So that was gratitude in action, and then we have gratitude for others. So gratitude for others is kind of a catch-all, wherein even for those who are apparently not helping us, we are able to develop gratitude because we don't know. And the reality is that the absence of gratitude creates a vacuum that is filled with resentment. It's not a good place to be in. So like they say for forgiveness, right? You don't forgive for the benefit of others. You forgive for the benefit of yourself. Because as long as you do not forgive, then you are punishing yourself for the fault of others. So similarly, gratitude is for yourself. It's not to show that I'm such a superlatively grateful person, or look at me how grateful I am. It's not for that. It's not to ingratiate yourself with others by expressing gratitude, right? There is only one person that will benefit by developing this attitude of gratitude, and that is yourself. So even if you were to approach it from a completely selfish motive, so like in negotiations, they say that the basis of negotiation starts with the Vipum principle. Have you heard of the Vipum principle? The Vipum principle is the WIIFM principle, that what's in it for me. Right? That's the start of negotiation, that you first figure out what is there in for you, and then you work. and then you work on the what is it called, the bhatna. The bhatna is the best. So we may think that gratitude is us being beneficent, magnanimous, or trying to spread our goodwill in the universe. All that may be there, but ultimately, it is for our own benefit. So I'll conclude with there was a seminar on gratitude by Ramapad Swami, and one of the things that he spoke about it, this was a several day seminar, so I'm not even going to try to summarize it, but one of the things that he recommended in it was maintaining a journal of gratitude, and basically writing 4 things in it, and he was recommending do it as a habit. I make it every day. And somebody asked that, that every day will we be able to find people to be grateful to? And I said every second you should be able to find somebody to be grateful to. So the first thing in the journal is to ascribe the recipient of the gratitude. Who am I? Who am I grateful for? And then there were the three S's that follow after that. The second is to somehow find a way to serve the person. Then the second S is, I'm trying to remember if I have it right. The second S is that to somehow find a way to speak well about the person. And the third is to somehow find a way to serve the mission of that person. So if you take an example, that let's assume we wanted to express gratitude to Srila Prabhupada. So the object of gratitude is Prabhupada. And how do we serve Prabhupada? One way is by reading his books. Second is speaking about Prabhupada. He is so much of his biography is there. His memoirs are there. When we speak about the qualities of an exalted personality, so Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that the easiest way to develop good qualities is by appreciating those qualities in others. And the easiest way to develop bad qualities is to criticize those qualities in others. If you go around and say that guy is lazy, that guy doesn't do anything, guess what? Soon you're going to be lazy. And that's the nature of one's consciousness. And the third S is serve the mission of the person, right? Spreading the word or distributing his books. So, while I don't maintain that journal, it's something that I feel would be beneficial. But I've spoken to devotees who do maintain this journal, and I think all of them have shared that it does gives them a strong sense of at least appreciating their own, all the mercy that they're getting. Tying back to the same point, that it is the gratitude that opens the door to so much of good fortune. Right? Ultimately, it is something that benefits us. Okay, so I'll pause over here, see if there's any discussions, questions, answers, comments, criticisms. Yes, Madam.
When we see something like, for example, in a movie, children not having enough then you appreciate the prasadam, the concept of prasadam, and you're grateful for the prasadam. This is the simple concept. But in terms of bigger things, we during the course of the day, we seem to forget that the most simple things are taken for granted, and instead of being grateful. How do you train your mind and to be grateful? Like simple habits, having a car to sit and go somewhere instead of walking in the cold. It's easily kind of forgotten, and we just personally it just kind of just in the backseat, and we feel like, how do we say that everything that as a blessing to her, as His mercy towards us? How do we train your mind and say thank you to you, thank you for everything, and also forgive us for all the mistakes that we have committed? How do we is this as a prayer in the morning or a prayer in the evening? How do we go about that?
Thank you. Very good question. So it's a two-part answer. One part that you refer to is that when we start developing a spiritual perspective, then part of that is developing our gratitude muscles. So you look at it that you get up in the morning, you chant. You express gratitude to Krishna for giving you some opportunity to serve. Then you do Sansar Bhava prayers. Gratitude to your spiritual master. Like, thank you for rescuing me from this forest fire of materialism. Then you read the Bhagavatam. Gratitude again to the acharyas who translated it, to Srila Vyasadeva, and so the whole process by nature is built on this foundation of expressing gratitude. So that is when we undertake our spiritual life. The second aspect, which is on a more practical part, is that, like you were saying, that we take food for granted, there are people who are starving, we take health for granted, people who are sick there. So it's a process that begins with eliminating first the negative. So we were discussing that what is the opposite of gratitude? Opposite of gratitude is resentment. Opposite of gratitude is entitlement. So at least start eliminating that sense that yes, this is my due. I should get this food. I should get this air. Or be resentful. Why don't I get the best food? Why don't I have the best of fill in the blanks? Right? That sense of resentment. So this feeling of resentment and entitlement is kind of like a weight that is holding down our gratitude muscles. So at least we start first by dispensing of them. And whenever we find ourselves being resentful, we say, like you nicely put it, think of somebody else. Our nature is that we take for granted whatever we get, and we resent whatever we do not get. So somebody has $100,000, he resents a millionaire. A millionaire resents a billionaire, right? And so on. So nobody who has $1 million will say that there's people who are poorer than me, right? Because that's not. We tend to take whatever we get for granted, but we resent that which we don't have. And this can be a conscious flip, right? That we express gratitude for what we have, and not worry about what we don't have. Like they say, and this is in human psychology, they say that one of the worst things that you can do for your mental health is compare yourself with others. One of the worst things that parents can do is compare the kids to others. So as Indian parents, we do that a lot, right? Look at that guy, he came first, you came second. Look at that guy, he got 98 in physics, you got 96 only. What's going on there, right? So, so somehow we survived that trauma. All of us went through it, we survived that trauma because there was an abundance of love to compensate for it. But yes, if you're aware of it, and if you refrain from doing it, just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that if you have to develop a habit, you consciously start practicing it. And then within time, he says within 18 months, if you're sincere, it becomes second nature to you. So we have faith in Bhaktivinoda's word, we follow that.
Thank you so much.
So I just have I don't have a question, but I think I just wanted to share. We were just talking about, and me and Singh are just laughing. We were just talking about the topic of gratitude this morning. I don't know how the conversation started, but it was on the fact that I was kind of upset about it for certain unknowns in my life, and wish this would have happened. And at one point, then she made a point, which I made a realization that a lot of the times we are not gratitude for a lot of things in life because we are just chasing after something and we are not content in our life. We are not content. I think that contentment doesn't come, and that's one of the reasons we are not able to gratitude the present what we have. And also she reflected on the same thing about that. We should be thankful about it. And as you said, we should also think from others' perspective, put ourselves into others' shoes. And then she made me realize that how grateful we are in association with everyone, like all the devotees, and also thinking about it, what happened this year with the Dodge and a lot of things, people got laid off, got affected, and at least I have a position, and how we are, so we should be happy with the present rather than thinking of unknowns about what could have happened, yesterday or what could happen in the future. So one way of practicing, so we realize, we should be gratitude at the present, what we have, rather than thinking. So just wanted to share something on the same topic which you shared with us. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
There are few times previously I tried writing the gratitude journal, Prabhuji. Couple of challenges that I felt is sometimes there is, like you mentioned, there are so many small things that we can feel grateful of, but when I tried writing it, because there is nothing explicitly that I have to feel like writing, I can't write like I feel grateful that I'm having good air, a good place to stay. Then if I write like that, it looks very silly to me when I write, and there are not so much very touchy that I can write kind of feel I get. And sometimes we have challenges. Oh, my chanting is struggling. Oh, Krishna, help me. So I write, so it slowly becomes like, rather than gratitude, it becomes like more asking, So over a period, I don't know what I am getting by writing. So slowly my motivation was diluted. So what things we need to keep in mind, how big or small we write, one line or I tried all these things, but nothing somehow.
Sure. So thank you for sharing. Good point. So firstly, it's okay if the gratitude gets coupled with a wish list. It's okay because, like I said, if you look at all the prayers in the Bhagavatam, what is the structure of the prayers? They start with gratitude, and then the person pulls out the list. Right? Can you give me this? Gajendra, he starts with gratitude, saying that, Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai, he starts, glorifying, and then he says, get rid of this crocodile. Right? Brahma starts with gratitude, and he says, empower me to create the universe now. Right? So it's okay, Akama Sarvakama, Moksha Kama, Udara, Tivrena, Bhakti. So that's the nature of our relationship with Krishna and with those who are more elevated. It's of asking. Right? So that part is okay. I think that if we were to reflect, um, not so much on from a larger philosophical perspective, but more specifically be aware of, let's assume we write it in the morning. We can reflect on the day that passed yesterday. We can and see that what is it that would be something that we are grateful for. And so like you said that, writing gratitude for air may seem silly. Yes, it may seem silly earlier on. But imagine if there's no air, what would you do? So you're right, we do take things for granted and it does seem silly. Thank you for air, thank you for sunlight. And then you say that even my neighbor has sunlight and he has no gratitude, so what's the point in me writing there? But each one of us is accountable for our own actions, for our own spiritual life, for our own advancement in consciousness. So like I said, you are a little bit ahead of me because I don't write the journal and you write it, but the person who writes it regularly, she was sharing with me that it is actually one of the most satisfying experiences she has in writing the gratitude journal and reading it also. So every day she says she writes one page or writes on a page, and then when she has time she goes back and reads from 1 year ago, 5 years ago. She's been writing it for a while, and then it gives her a sense of how many people are working together, how many forces are working together to basically, to basically ensure our existence. Forget about just to ensure our existence. In the Bhagavatam it is mentioned that from the time that a person is born, he is indebted to, I forget, like seven people, right? He's indebted to the parents, indebted to the sadhus, indebted to the pitras, indebted to the king. The person is born with 7 debts there. Right? So there is no lack of identifying agencies that we can feel grateful about. The lacking is us feeling genuine gratitude towards them. Right? That's what we have to work on. And a lot of this is fake it till you make it. Maybe we may not feel earlier on. Maybe we feel that it's not really something for me to be grateful about. But as we keep working on it, then the emotions become more genuine. Yeah, after that.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Rahul. So I was trying to understand the point about being grateful for things, for uncertainty, grateful in uncertainty, and I was trying to think how that applies to devotees. So we know that Krishna is the cause behind everything that's happening to us. Ultimately, He's doing everything. So is it referring to us not knowing why Krishna is arranging the situation like this, and we are grateful for it even though we don't know? There may be a specific reason. It may be just Krishna is trying to make us more dependent on Him, whatever it may be, but we are not aware exactly. So is that referring to that uncertainty, or I was trying to understand what uncertainty...
It does. Thank you for bringing that point up. So the example of gratitude and uncertainty comes in the first canto, 8th chapter, in the prayers of Bhishma Dev. So if you see, the prayers begin with Yudhishthira is like they're praying to Bhishma Dev, and then Bhishma Dev looks at Yudhishthira, and then he gives a short inventory of all the bad things that happened to him. Right? You were orphaned as children, ill-treated by the person who should have been your father, poisoned by your brothers, your wife inside it, all the things that he does. And then he says that, I don't know why these things are happening to you. You're pious, you're truthful, you're free of envy. None of this should happen to you. I don't know why it is happening to you. But the fact that you are always grateful in these uncertainties is why Krishna is standing next to you. No. Right? So, in life, while we have principles, but the instantiation of those principles can often be ambiguous. Things like, why do bad things happen to good people? I worked hard, I still flunked. Why did that happen? This person, he barely does anything good, and look what's going happening there, right? So from a principle we can say yes, law of karma, whatever it is. But when it is manifesting in our lives or around us, it is difficult for us to reason. And then, like what you're saying is that we accept that these uncertainties are the hand of Krishna. Who makes this point? What's the name of the devotee who was a professor? Radhika Raman, right? Right, yeah. Radhika Raman Prabhu, in one of the lectures, he makes this point that karma tends to be deterministic. And now, of course, we don't know our past karma, but he says that when things happen that do not seem to align with the expectation of karma, then you have to then infer it is happening by the will of Krishna. There are only two people who have the ability to do things to you. One is you yourself, and the other is Krishna. So you yourself, it is manifesting through karma. But if things are not playing out as per the laws of karma, there's only one other person who can do things like that.
How can we be so confident that we know that this is not happening due to some past karma or something?
We cannot, but that was Bhishma's point. Like he was saying that you have all good qualities.
I see.
Right. So, what are good qualities? A symptom of past pious activities. Right? You yourself have not performed any sinful activities. So, whether it is by purva or prarabdha, he said you should not have suffered. But the fact that you are suffering, this person next to you is responsible for it. He doesn't say he says, he puts a positive tone on it. The fact that all this happened to you, and you still do not lose faith in Krishna, that's what makes you glorious. So we may not be able to ascertain that what our karma was and how it is manifesting, etc. And that is and that is fine. But there are many times when things are so obviously stacked against you. It looks like like there is a saying. I think it's in. I've seen it in some movies where they say that if you want something bad enough, the forces in the universe, they will
conspire.
They will combine to make it happen. Right? And the opposite is there are sometimes the forces in the universe conspire to not make it happen. Right? Despite the fact that you want it bad enough. So at least for devotees, we know that there is only one force that is stronger than all the forces in the universe. So then the question becomes, what is the lesson for me? Thank you for this, and let me see what is it that you are trying to teach me. Prabhupada's before he gave up his grahastha life, in a classic situation, before he gave up his grahastha life, in a short period of time, everything that he had built around himself went away. Right? His wife left him, his children more or less broke away from him, his business failed. He was just left by himself, and then he recited that verse. You were reciting it that day, right? 1088.
Yasyaham anuprinami tanam harisheta.
That when Krishna is really kind on somebody, he kindly takes away everything. Now, of course, Krishna only gives us as much as we can carry. Hey, if he does it on me, I will say, bye bye Krishna. No, I'm not ready for that. Prabhupada was ready for that. So he was able to take it.
Thank you for that answer.
Kishori, thank you.
Thank you. So, Prabhu, like one makes a lot of mistakes, and I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, and perhaps behaved in ways that I've later really regretted. And I repent for those mistakes. But can one be grateful for one's mistakes? Because sometimes I feel in the idea of repentance, I push myself really down, and I bring myself down to a point where it's not functional anymore. So can one cultivate gratitude for one's mistakes, or is that really not a thing?
Thank you, Mataji. An excellent practical question. So the gratitude depends on the way that the repentance manifests. So we make a mistake, and maybe we can take an example. That let's assume we hurt somebody by speech. Right? We then realize that we made a mistake. We can go to the person and apologize. Right? So that's where the sense of gratitude becomes stronger, because what happens when you apologize to the person, that person's heart opens up, the blessings come, or at least goodwill comes, and any negativity that you may have accrued because of that is dissipated. Right? So it's good all along. If you're not able to do that, if you're not comfortable with that, then we can indirectly address it by speaking well of the person, by serving the person indirectly. And again, that develops humility, that purifies. And third is that if we cannot even do that, we feel genuinely regretful for that. That protects us from doing that in the future. So in all situations, it is for our benefit. Now again, these are things that it's not that we say that insulting somebody else is lesson for me, so let me go ahead and do that on a more but inevitably it happens. Right? So the problem is not really what we did. The problem is that how do we deal with what we did. So we can, and if you go to the other end of the spectrum, we can say that I should have insulted the person even more. That person deserves more, right? And that makes our heart harder. It deprives us of a potential relationship, a mercy. And definitely, it's something that's they're not in the realm of being grateful. But if we are able to process it in this way, then yes, there is gratitude, and hopefully if the person forgives us, there is gratitude towards the magnanimity of the person. That he is able to demonstrate a quality that perhaps we can develop in ourselves. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for your wonderful lecture. I'm very grateful. Prabhu,
when you spoke about Giriraj Maharaj's quote and the poetic quote that you were talking about, that gratitude is the womb of humility. Could you elaborate a little bit on that? Because I feel that sometimes I'm trying to understand how do you develop the mood of humility, and is that if I find myself less humble, is that because I'm less grateful?
Thank you. So yes, there is definitely a correlation, because if you look at what is the defining characteristic of the quality of humility? That quality is thinking, is not thinking too much of oneself. That's the quality. What is the quality that humility develops in us? Is thinking more from the other person's perspective. So in a way, it's almost like a precursor to it. That if you look at the opposite of it, a person who lacks both humility and gratitude would be essentially displaying two characteristics: ignoring the others and thinking only of oneself. Now, gratitude at least helps us stop ignoring others. And we start acknowledging that yes, they're helping us, I'm grateful to them, I'm dependent on them. And that sets the stage for the next, which is bypassing our own ego and thinking less of ourselves. Now, does it mean that we have to go through those, like we have to actually say, first we practice gratitude and then humility? Not really. I mean, they almost develop concurrently. Now, as we develop humility, gratitude appears, and vice versa. But yes, Maharaj's point was that it's an important quality to develop if you are aspiring to. So he was looking at it from the perspective of our ability to chant. For us to chant, we have to develop humility. And for us to develop humility, we should aspire to develop gratitude. So he's looking at it from that perspective.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, so if there are no more questions, we can end over here. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.